Hello, humans, and welcome to another episode of Gen X Gamer. I'm taking a break here because I'm writing a paper on system analysis, and my eyes are I can't take the screen anymore, and I wanted to talk about Donkey Kong, right? I want to keep this delusion going that I have, guys, and let me tell you this. First, this is I made this video because I saw a video by Mike of All Trades, and asking, well, what would it take to open up my wallet for me to buy an arcade one-up product? I don't think in its current iteration that company is just putting out anything good. I mean, they're just not. Once you're factoring in receivables when you're trying to get loans and stuff like that, it doesn't look good for your bottom line. And to get the type of arcade cabinets that the public wants, it takes a large amount of money. Right? So here I go with my delusion again. And again, this is not serious, guys. This is just what I'm thinking about here when I'm asked this question. How could it happen, right? How could I get the holy grail of 3/4 arcade cabinets? Well, it couldn't happen with Arcade 1-Up the way it is. But one thing that I've always said that makes sense is for Ryan Cohen just to go and buy it out. Just buy it out. Because GameStop does have the resources to buy the licenses that you want. And it's a perfect combination. This is a physical product that you could put in stores. It's a high ticket item. Because let me tell you guys, 700, everybody's talking about it. But if you're talking about a good quality replica 3/4 arcade that has the Nintendo seal of quality, that has Nintendo approved parts in it, 700, yes. The old man cringe community would do it. Everybody and their mother would be buying this cabinet, right? For me and for many people of my generation, which are now in the millions and about to retire, right? This cabinet holds a very special place in our hearts, right? Not everybody can afford the the arcade cabinet, but it's not only about that. It's at some point you could find arcade cabinets out there that you could rebuild yourself and, you could do something with it. But a lot of people don't have the option, right? Because we're talking about selling mass production units, right? A lot of people don't have the option to have things in their house that have to be shipped on pallets. Let me tell you, I don't have room to put any type of machine that I have to truck into the house. I just don't. I have so much crap already. Even if I was to buy another arcade cabinet, I would have to beg and plead with my wife. I'd probably have to take some stuff out because I have so much crap in the house already, right? So that's not an option for me, and it's not an option for a lot of people that live in, specifically, now that we're talking about this, retirement homes, right? These communities out there in Palm Springs and stuff like that. A lot of seniors live in condos now. And they would love to have something like this. And an arcade cabinet, it's not an option. Right? It really isn't. And to produce something like this in a good quality, right? A good quality product, you would have to order quite a few. The reason, business-wise, that you get a lot of these crappy parts on these arcade cabinets is because the runs are small. Right? You can't get a huge discount on, whatever product, let's say Sanwa, whatever, if you're only going to order 50,000 cabinets, that doesn't impress them, right? If you're going to order 500,000, now you can start tapping into, right, better deals with larger quality vendors. The smaller companies, because they have to, right? It's not necessarily evil, because they have to, because they don't have the funds. They have to nickel and dime every part and try to give you the cheapest thing that they can in order so they can maximize their profit, right? And that's just the nature of the beast, because these companies don't have the money to buy the licenses and on top of that put a huge order, right? They're not able to take those kind of gambles. Well, we know that Donkey Kong is not going to be a gamble, right? That's when you're going to be printing money even at 700. So if you could keep it at that price point or lower, they're going to sell. I mean, it's just, I don't know anybody, right, in my circle of the old man cringe community. If I told them this cabinet is $700, they just be flopping credit cards and throwing cash at it right away because they would love to have it in their home. Right? My friends and I, for example, we've been friends now for Jesus Christ, 45 years. And that's the cabinet, one of the cabinets that we played the most, and one of the cabinets that has so much nostalgia for us. And all of us would buy the cabinet. I can tell you that right now, right? Absolutely. But you don't want to buy, just crap. Some people would, right? But I think that this would be the perfect way to do it. And I keep, talking about this stuff because I don't know how people in the industry, for example, if you're running GameStop, there's so many smaller companies that make physical media now that you could buy, and you're just missing the boat. These guys are just staying on the same thing, whether it's a replica physical media that they could make themselves, right? That they could buy these smaller companies. Arcade One Up wouldn't be the only one. There's a few other companies out there that they could make in-house, right? They should, what GameStop should be doing, in my humble opinion, right? And it's also my professional opinion, by the way, is that GameStop should diversify, have their own developer, at least one, Atari, have a manufacturing sector for, physical media, like something like limited run games, right? They absolutely should have a section devoted to manufacturing big ticket items like Arcade One Up, right? And you can get into handhelds, whatever else you want. There's several companies that you can buy for that. But for these type of units, for having a big ticket item, this would be perfect. You could have a little arcade section where you have the actual products that you want. Can you imagine a real Outrun? They can do this. Can you imagine a Donkey Kong in there? They can do this. Why? Because they deal with these companies, right? They're distributors for these companies and their video games. And even though, 85% of the business is done electronically, 15% of the video game industry is still a crap load of money, let me tell you. It's worth billions of dollars, right? It's worth billions of dollars. So we're not talking about chump change here. This would definitely make it worth it. Now I'm talking about business, talking about money. That would make the stock soar, in my humble opinion, right? But just for my own selfish purposes, because I want that Donkey Kong, and because I know I can't buy the actual arcade cabinet because I just don't have the space for something like that, or the flooring to put something that heavy. This would make sense to me. And God bless everybody out there that's trying to make their own company with arcade cabinets or what have you. The best they can make is multicades, because these licenses are super expensive, right? And for smaller companies, they would gamble absolutely all their resources just on securing the license. And then they're out of money for production, and then they can only make, 20,000, 50,000. Now you're screwed because you got to, replace the buttons with cheap ass stuff. You can't get a good screen. You can't do anything else because you ran out of money. So what are you going to do? You're going to go borrow more money, and then you end up like Arcade One Up because you wanted to make the NFL Blitz, and you take out all the good stuff out of it. Those are the problems you can run into. But if GameStop goes in there, man, it would change the game. So just to recap it, what would make me open up my wallet? Well, Donkey Kong for sure. Robotron would be another one, right? Those two cabinets I would definitely buy. And there's others, but we can talk about that at a later time. All right, humans, thank you for joining me on this little talk. I'll be going to Mexico pretty soon. I need a little vacation. You know what I'm saying? I need to go south of the border. Like MC Hammer used to say, the border's in order. And I'm going to go sit down maybe a couple of margaritas out there, chill and relax. All right, humans, I will catch you on the next one. Take care.